everyone, I welcome you all to today's topic Decodified session. Today we are going to talk about corporal punishment. What is corporal punishment? Corporal punishment is being violent towards children in schools as a matter of punishment. What is happening is corporal punishment. This child is being beaten by the teacher. So this kind of a punishment will be known as corporal punishment. We shall be covering this particular topic in the following sequence. Why it is in news, what is corporal punishment in more specific terminology, we shall be defining it, provisions against such punishment, NCPCR guidelines, way forward with regards to this particular problem, followed by the prelims and mains based practice questions for you all. Without further ado, I will be taking you towards the topic. So 3 private school teachers in Pune have been booked under the Juvenile Justice Act over allegedly thrashing 3 class 10 students and threatening to grade them poorly in internal assessments. So there has been an FIR, and against all these teachers now cases are going to run. But what is corporal punishment? So corporal punishment is most widespread form of violence against children. It is any punishment in which physical force is used and intended to cause some degree of pain or discomfort to the child. It is a violation of children's right to respect for human dignity and physical integrity. There is no statutory definition of corporal punishment targeting children in India, but the Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education RTA Act 2009 prohibits physical punishment and mental harassment under section 17 clause 1 and makes it a punishable offence under section 17 clause 2. Corporal punishment can be broadly classified into 2 types, the first one being physical and the second one being mental. So any sort of violence, physical or mental, would be under the corporal punishment. Now let's talk about the physical punishment itself. So according to NCPCR, physical punishment is understood as any action that causes pain, hurt, injury or discomfort to a child. It includes making children assume an uncomfortable position like standing on the bench, standing against a wall, standing in a chair-like position, standing with school bag on head, holding ears through legs, kneeling, forced ingestion of anything, detention in the classroom, library, toilet or any closed space in the school. While mental harassment is understood as any non-physical treatment that is detrimental to the academic and psychological well-being of a child. It includes sarcasm, calling names and scolding, using humiliating adjectives, intimidation using derogatory remarks for the child, ridiculing or belittling a child, shaming the child and so on. Some reasons behind corporal punishment, why it is prevalent. Teachers use physical punishment or mental harassment because of a general lack of awareness regarding these rights of the children and the laws backing them, and the fact that even action could be taken, legal action could be taken against them. Because of a general lack of awareness or interest to explore options other than violence and abuse. Teachers commit violence against children when swayed by emotion. Say when they feel frustrated at being unable to manage the classroom, they start punishing the children with a stick. Other factors such as low pay scales, a skewed student-teacher ratio and poorly resourced school contribute to emotional build-ups. Teachers when lose patience, lash out at the students and adopt corporal punishment patterns. And it comes in so much of habit of a teacher that some teachers are actually known for the fact that they really beat up student very harsh. Outcomes of corporal punishment. A research found that physical punishment was not associated with any positive outcomes for children and increased the risk of children experiencing severe violence or neglect. Negative outcomes associated with physical punishment such as behavioral problems occurred irrespective of the child's sex, race or ethnicity and regardless of overall teaching styles of the caregivers. The magnitude of negative outcomes for children increased with the frequency of physical punishment. The physical punishment does not improve children's behavior. Instead, it makes it worse because now children are more prone to violence and doing violence. They will normalize violence. They will normalize getting beaten up, and they would be habitual. It won't make much difference to them if they are being beaten. And similarly, they would think that it is normal to beat someone else, and it should not make any much difference to them as well. So they accept violence and inflict violence thereafter, making their behavior worse. Provisions against such punishment. Right to education, 2009. Section 17 of RTE Act 2009 imposes an absolute bar on corporal punishment. It prescribes disciplinary action to be taken against the guilty person in accordance with the services rules applicable to such person. Section 8 and 9 of the RTE Act of 2009 place a duty on the appropriate government and local authority to ensure that the child belonging to weaker section and the child belonging to the disadvantaged group are not discriminated against and prevented from pursuing and completing elementary education on any grounds. Juvenile Justice Act. According to Section 23 of Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act, any person who is in control of a juvenile and who abandons, assaults, exposes or willfully neglects the juvenile or procures him to be abandoned, assaulted, exposed or neglected, which in turn causes mental or physical pain to him or her, shall be punished with imprisonment up to 6 months or a fine or with both. Section 75 of the Juvenile Justice Act prescribes punishment for cruelty to children. Then, as per Indian Penal Code, there are various provisions which govern perpetrators of corporal punishment based on gravity of the harm inflicted, which includes Section 305 pertaining to abatement of suicide committed by a child, Section 323 pertaining to voluntarily causing hurt, Section 325 which is about voluntarily causing grievous hurt. Bodies established to curb corporal punishment are two major bodies which are in statutory nature, which are at the hem of eradication of corporal punishment, that are National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, State Commission for Protection of Child Rights. These bodies have been tasked with ensuring that children are being treated in consonance with the right of children to free and compulsory education, Act 2009. Then let's look at the constitutional provisions related to the protection of children in India. First of all, Article 21A, provision for compulsory education in the age group of 6 to 14. Article 24, it prohibits child labor in hazardous work until the age of 14. Article 39E, it is the duty of the state to ensure that children of tender age are not abused due to economic disparity. Article 45, it is the duty of the state to provide for the care of children in the age group 0 to 6. Article 51A, K, the fundamental duty of parents is to ensure that their children receives education for the age group of 6 to 14 years. The NCPCR guidelines under this. So under NCPCR guidelines, every school is required to develop a mechanism and frame clear-cut protocols to address the grievances of students. Drop boxes are to be placed where the aggrieved person may drop his complaint, and anonymity is to be maintained to protect privacy. Every school has to constitute a corporal punishment monitoring cell consisting of 2 teachers, 2 parents, 1 doctor, 1 lawyer nominated by DLSA, counselor and independent child rights activist of that area, and 2 senior students from that school. This CPMC shall look into complaints of corporal punishments. Then we have to look at the way forward as well, because it's a very grave problem in India. This kind of a behavior is too much normalized. Even parents accept it and ask the teachers sometimes to be strict over their children so that they can do better. So a lot of awareness, first of all, is what is needed with regards to corporal punishment, is the very first way forward that I from my side would like to put over here. The government of India has banned the practice of corporal punishment throughout the country. However, the implementation of law and UN Convention on Child Rights treaties are not implemented in the school and student level. Practice of corporal punishment and classroom violence continues to exist even today. Many developing countries have adopted agenda to promote the people's age-old mentality that corporal punishments could only curb the bad social behavior or action. No, corporal punishments are not the sole solution. In fact, they are not the solution at all. India also had to protect child rights and promote awareness campaigns against corporal punishment. So this was the way forward, that first of all government has to be stringent about it, and then people need to know, they have to realize, and they have to be made to realize corporal punishment is the wrong being done to children. It's a problem instead of a solution. Now let's look at the prelims based practice question. Consider the following statements regarding the corporal punishment. Number 1, corporal punishment is any punishment in which physical force is used and intended to cause some degree of pain or discomfort. Number 2, there is no statutory definition of corporal punishment targeting children in the Indian law. Number 3, right of children to free and compulsory education, RTE Act 2009, only prohibits physical punishment, not mental harassment. Your options are only 1 and 2, only 2 and 3, only 1 and 3, and all of these. Pick the correct alphabet and put it in the comment box as your answer. The main practice question for today is, the majority of view among parents and teachers is that a little bit of corporal punishment for children is all the good. Do you agree? Justify on moral grounds. You need to answer this particular question in 250 words and send in your answers to us on WhatsApp to get them reviewed. This is it for today. I shall see you again tomorrow. Till then, take care, stay tuned. Thank you so much for joining in.